What is going on, YouTube? Pass the Prop is back. It is a Friday show. It's our first Friday show of the year, talking about, obviously, Week 1 NFL bets, specifically Sunday. I already saw a couple questions there. I'm going to get this out of the way right away. If you're looking for Friday bets, we already had a show on that, so make sure you go check out that. There's going to be all Sunday bets. And, yeah, it's exciting. Joined as always by my guy, Stu. How you doing, man?
Fantastic. I'm doing fantastic, man. We've been waiting all year long for this. The Wednesday show is a good appetizer, but everyone that's been here these last couple of years knows that Friday show is the big one, right? We got a huge slate. We got our first huge slate of the season. As always, we're going to be answering all the questions you guys got, so make sure to get those in the comments if you do want your question answered. But I'm excited, man. We've been waiting for so long, and we got a fantastic guest here with us for Week 1.
Hell yeah. Joined as always. We're happy to have you back. PropBomb here for some NFL action. How you doing, man?
I'm super pumped. It's been 200 days since we've last seen football. Had a great start last night with the Ravens-Chiefs game. A lot of fireworks, a lot of action. Hopefully you guys had a lot of winners too. I'm excited now. This is a great show. I love the vibes here. I always feel welcomed when I'm on here, and we got some winners to give out for this weekend. So I'm ready to kind of kick that off.
Hell yeah, we got 6 bets. We got 6 bets here ready to go, 2 from each of us. As always, if you can hit that like button, we really appreciate it. It helps us out a ton. And as always, drop your questions in the chat. We'll try to get to everything and give you the best answer we can if we got one for you. So I'm kind of sad. I had Travis Kelce in fantasy last night, so that didn't really help me out too much. But we're feeling okay. We're feeling okay. We had a little bit of Xavier Worthy on some teams, so I'm feeling all right. He kind of evens itself out there. But let's get into it. We are ready to go here. 30 of you guys in here in the first couple of minutes. We appreciate you. And I guess we could start out with here is just a quick recap on Stu's play. Stu ended up having our only play for last night on the show and getting us to the winner.
Oh, yeah, baby. Justin Watson, we talked about it. It's only one catch. That's all you need with a guy like Watson. I said last year we started out the season with a role player, Josh Reynolds, cashed the first ticket. It only felt right that Justin Watson would catch the first ticket this year. And then obviously for anyone that follows on Twitter, some Isaiah Likely and long shots ended up doing us very, very well. I can take a little credit. I'm not going to take that much credit. Obviously, 100 yards, almost 2 touchdowns. One of the most insane kind of coming out games I can remember in a while, because if you don't have Isaiah Likely on your team already, it's going to be very, very hard to get him from this point. I saw guys in my Discord talking, in their league spending 50% of their fab, that kind of thing. So it'll be interesting. Likely looks fantastic. He didn't just look like a tight end. He looked like a wide receiver last night. So great start to the season. Got a cash on the show. Hopefully we get 6 more today.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We end up moving 1-0. We did lose our touchdown parlay because Isaiah Likely took all of them from Mark Andrews. He took every single one, so he ended up going off for us there. And obviously, I saw your long shots there, Stu. So I guess we'll start out with talking about our favorite game of the week. PropBomb, we'll start out with you. Is there a game on that Sunday slate? We got a lot to choose from. A game that sticks out to you. It doesn't have to be your favorite prop game, but just one that you might be excited to watch.
I like the Cleveland Browns Dallas Cowboys game. I think that's going to be a good one. A nice little playoff preview. Both these teams are really good. I think it's going to. They have really great defenses. It'll be interesting to see how Jerry Jeudy looks on the Cleveland Browns, as well as like this new backfield that's kind of shaping up with the Cowboys. I want to see how Dalvin Cook looks. I don't think he'll be that involved week 1, but what that looks like. I think both these teams are competitors and powerhouses respectfully. So I'll be interested to watch that one for sure.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a lot of props in that game, so we'll have to see how that goes. I think for me, man, I think that Bills-Cardinals game to start out is going to be really fun on that 1 o'clock slate. I mean, 2 teams that I'm very interested in, a lot of fantasy-relevant players. I don't have too many bets yet in that game, but that's something I'm definitely working on. Both tight ends, Kincaid, McBride. How do you not just kind of go like 50 yards each for both of them, right, and just kind of lock it up? I mean, that's the regular line for both of them right now. So love the tight ends in that one. The other one, I mean, Colts-Texans, 2 teams I'm super interested in this year, right? Anthony Richardson, is the durability going to last? I don't know, but game 1, he'll be healthy. I want to see it, right? And then Texans, CJ Stroud, 3 of the most dominant weapons in the league. Guys, I don't know if you looked at the prices. Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, all over 57 receiving yards individually right now.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work every week. Is CJ just going to throw for 300 yards? I'm not 100% sure. So there's going to be value somewhere. Unfortunately, for a lot of over bettors, it's probably going to be on the under. It's just about kind of finding out which one of those guys it is. So those are the two that really stick out to me as the most fun games.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, a little roulette there. You're playing a little roulette, trying to guess which one that the teams are going to leave open. I think for me, and I don't like when Stu does his home team, but I think it's got to be your team. I like that Washington game. I'm going more towards fantasy points and fantasy stuff that I have. I have a lot of exposure both sides in fantasy and best ball. I have an ungodly amount of Kate Otten and Baker Mayfield in my lineups, Chris Godwin, so much Bucky Irvin, which I'll be talking about here in a little bit as well. But you go to that side, and then obviously Jaden Daniels you got to be hyped up, right? You got to be hyped up to watch him right from the jump. You even got a little Austin Eckler over there. People are kind of up in the air about him. Obviously, phenomenal pass catching back can really help out. And Scary Terry. I have a lot of Scary Terry. So I think for me, I'm going more towards fantasy and props. I like that game a lot. And obviously, we'll talk about that game for some props here. And let's look at the chat here. We'll take a look. We got 45 of you guys in here live with us, and then we'll get into some props. And hopefully, if you guys have questions, we'll get into those as well. Big Fly did mention we did have our show on Wednesday about that one. We got Carlos in here, Flan Fam as always, Bobby Boucher back in here. This one is so crazy to me. Taysom Hill on best ball is all tight end, bro. Like, dude's going to just cook tight end if they're going to keep giving them both of those. And we got Plus Money Bob in here as always. Happy to see a lot of familiar faces here. Straight Sniper here too. All right, Stu, you got us the winner yesterday. I will let you take it away here today. And I got a text from Stu about this play, which I usually don't get an immediate text from Stu, but he knows I'm a fan of this guy, so I understand it. I really like the spot. I'm sure this will not last very long. So luckily for you guys, you're here live with us.
Yeah, no, I was waiting for this one for a while. It actually dropped on kind of the books with the bad limits. So I was just sitting there waiting, just praying FanDuel wouldn't mess us up, right? And FanDuel gave us the 130. They gave us a good number. Now it's across the board 130. We're going Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions. This is my favorite play of the week. I don't think anything will come close. Honestly, if we're outside of week one, this is definitely more than a one-unit play for me. And you guys know that is not something very common. That's why, of course, PPS got the immediate text message with the hammer emoji as well. Something we rarely bring out. I'm not an emoji guy, but had to include the hammer in there for a reason. Man, if you guys don't know anything about Bo Nix, that's going to be the starting quarterback week one. If you want to go back and look at this guy's college tape, you are not going to find very many passes beyond 25 yards. And that is extremely rare for a quarterback that was in one of the most stacked offenses in the nation. Their whole philosophy, their whole team design was around letting Bo Nix check down the ball as much as possible. We're talking about a guy that was in Heisman contention with an 18% target share just to his running backs alone. And what better system to go into than Sean Payton? I saw one of the most insane stats I've ever seen, and that's over his last 10 years as a head coach and play caller. There has not been one Sean Payton team that finished outside the top 5 in RB target share. That's insane. 10 years of sample size of Sean Payton consistently using his running backs aggressively in the passing game. Obviously, Alvin Kamara is the most recent example, a guy that was practically catching 5 balls per game. Javonte Williams does profile as a good pass catcher. He has soft hands. He's got good, contact balance. He's an all-around pretty solid running back. For me, the biggest thing right here, before the season, they cut Samaje Perine. Yeah. Samaje Perine was first overall in running back yards per route run last year. He is one of the best pass-catching backs in the league. So that says a lot about the room that they currently have, a team that we know wants to check the ball down. We have a quarterback that checked the ball down more than anyone else in the country, at least that was at his level, right? That's the check down rate you see at like the Mississippi State quarterback when they're playing Alabama. He was doing that every single game, right? So now we go into arguably the perfect system, a guy that his whole career, Payton has been working with quarterbacks that frankly don't throw the ball downfield, and he does a fantastic job of protecting them and creating systems around them. So obviously we have McLaughlin. He's the other guy involved in here. I like both receiving backs. If you want to find out more how I like about McLaughlin, you can check out 4 for 4. I got another play on him. But I think Javonte is the clear target. He profiles as the number 1 running back in the room right now. It's one of those situations where we kind of just saw it last night, where a team ended up just having 2 backs, right? It was Justice Hill and it was Derrick Henry. This is another 2-back rotation. I don't think we see the rookie from Notre Dame come in until, a little bit deeper in the season. And Javonte, I'm not going to get hyped into the preseason reports too much. I don't want to overreact to he looks in his pre-injury form. Because if you watch Javonte before the injury and then you watch him last year, you could tell that burst just wasn't necessarily there. And that's kind of why I like the receptions more than the yards, because I like the opportunity rather than the efficiency in this one. And I think Javonte has a fantastic game. So just to recap, we got the check down king. If you're not familiar with Bo Nix, look up the highlights. You're going to see more check downs than you've ever seen in a guy's highlight tape, going into literally the perfect system that enables check downs. And then finally, I wrote so much about this, I forgot. The Seattle defense has 2 amazing outside corners. And it's not like they're dealing with A.J. Brown this week. Cam Sutton, and then on the other side, Josh Reynolds. Those guys have extremely tough. Like I said, I wouldn't trust those guys against the Washington corners, who we will be talking about a little bit later. But now you're giving them 2 of the toughest outside corners in the league. Man, it's going to be tough. I don't know where I don't know where the Broncos are going to generate all this offense from. They're 6-point underdogs. They're going to be trailing. Their outside wide receivers have tough matchups, and now they have the check down king at quarterback. Give me Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions. Let's go.
Yeah, Mono, you have so much conviction under that play. You could just tell like that is the top play for you of the week. It makes perfect sense. Sean Payton's offense goes from Russell Wilson, a guy who's just like, fuck it, let me just throw it downfield, to Bo Nix, who's the most like safest quarterback there is in terms of like quick passes. So I think it makes perfect sense, like in the scheme and in the system, to target someone like Javonte Williams, who may just get those like quick passes. So it makes a lot of sense to me, and I won't be surprised if this is minus 180 after the show.
Yeah, I feel like it should be. And too, just what you said, Russell Wilson was still top 3 in running back checkdowns last year, and that's something he'd never really done before, right? So you kind of nailed it. That's a guy that was not even comfortable in that system, and even they made him into kind of a checkdown monster. So imagine what's going to happen when that's really all a guy does, right? I think it's going to be even more than people expect.
Yeah, I remember all the highlight films are all like 4-yard ins to Troy Franklin, and Franklin just breaks it for 50 yards. That's pretty much how Bo Nix was throwing for 300.
Yeah.
And I watched way too much college football last year, and Bo Nix, he can move too, which is kind of nice. Like, he can be mobile. I don't think they're going to have him run the ball, though, right? He's a rookie quarterback. You don't want him taking hits. Get out of the pocket, little check downs. I like this spot. Definitely like this spot. And I'm looking at the comments already. We got our boy Bobby Boucher coming out.
This is good. This is
nice
good.
stuff.
This is
We didn't even give any hints or anything. PropBomb's going to start us off here. That was pretty good, Bobby. You're in midseason form.
No, I'm glad you asked this question, because that's actually one of my props. JSN over 18.5 longest reception. It's in the same game here, so maybe you could do a little 2-leg parlay with this game. But this is one of those like quality over quantity type analyses, because last year, if you were to sum up who JSN was on the team, like, he was just short, low A-dot passes behind the line of scrimmage, and let's see where he can go. He was battling, a wrist injury. He was really, honestly, being misused in the offense under former offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who's now on the Chicago Bears. Some stats to point out here, just with how bad and how misused his role was last season. Yes, he went under this line in 9 of 17 games, but only 14% of his targets had air yards thrown for more than 20 yards. He had the second lowest ADOT. That's the average depth of target amongst the rookie wide receivers. So it just really wasn't a good situation. So that's why, like, I look for new edges and things that kind of change. And that's kind of what happened going into the offseason when they hired new offensive coordinator Ryan Grab. Sorry. He kind of comes from the Washington background out of college. He was one of those offensive coordinators he was one of those coaches who was really aggressive in terms of play calling with deep pass schemes. You saw that with Michael Penix Jr. and like guys like Jalen Polk and Rome Odunze. They were 13 highest in college football in terms of like their ADOT. And then I just kind of look at just going forward, the matchup here versus the Broncos, I don't think he's going to be covered by Patrick Surtain. I think that's going to be DK Metcalf. I think Tyler Lockett, if you've been following what's kind of going on this week, he's been battling a thigh injury, so he hasn't really been 100%. So we can see kind of maybe JSN takes a little bit of Lockett's role where he kind of takes some of those long routes. And then I just think in general, I mean, he's going to be assigned more into the slot role this year. And he gets a really, beatable matchup here. I'm looking at this guy, Jaquan McMillan. He's very burnable. And he ranked 34th out of 42 pass rating cornerbacks, according to PFF. So I think this 18.5 longest reception line is one of those where it's like, it's not going to be this low going forward because it's a new role for him. So that's why I like this a lot.
I'm in. I like this too. I think a lot of people look backwards in week one rather than looking forwards, right? What did he do last year? JSN was in jail last year. Yeah. Like, he was in jail. The ADOT wasn't the same. They truly didn't let him run any kind of creative route tree whatsoever. It was just like, you stand near the line of scrimmage, and if we need to check down, you'll be it.
That was his role.
That's clearly not going to be the plan for a guy they drafted so high. And now they have a new offensive coordinator that, like you said, is used to these 3 wide receiver sets, these more explosive plays. They're not going to try to, necessarily run 40,000 times. We're going to get some good downfield usage. So I like it a lot. And I think it's one of those things, I wouldn't be surprised if someone played the under, just looking at like last year's data or something like that. But so much has changed. And like you said, too, very important. He does not get that tough Surtain matchup on the outside. DK is going to have a little bit of a tough time out there. Just creates more opportunity. I don't think Tyler Lockett's going to play full snaps either. If you look at some of the sharp injury reporters out there, they're saying he's probably going to be limited, probably not playing that full arrangement of slots or snaps. So I think there's a lot of good things pointing to JSN having that breakout game. And I know me and PPS both like him a lot in terms of the best ball streaks as well. So great start. Let's go.
Let's do it.
A lot of drafting of him in best ball. My thing that I really like that you said was finding like what's changed, right, from last year to this year, right? Because we do a lot of them where we buy down, right? You do the buy downs, like say whatever the guy's 250 passing yards, you buy it down to 225. That's like more midseason stuff. Like right now, I'm seeing like we feel like we have pretty decent numbers coming at us here because a lot of stuff has changed, and obviously with Lockett being out or probably playing 50% of the snaps. Really like this spot going down the field. And I'm a Geno guy. Stu knows I'm a Geno guy more than I probably should be, just because he made me a few extra bucks last year. But
he's got an incredible arm. Yeah, he's got.
Yeah, and speaking about that, and speaking about a little bit different, I'm going to Christian Kirk today at 55.5. I'm more looking at just what we're missing from last year, right? And that's Calvin Ridley, 38% of the air yards from that team last year. Calvin Ridley, right? And then you go to Zay Jones. 17%, right? That's 55% already gone. Christian Kirk only played in 12 games last year. Obviously, was in and out, injuries and stuff like that. But, man, I really like what I'm seeing from him. And I don't think his role is going to change that much outside of volume, right? Because he's still going to be running out of the slot. He can go outside. I've already seen that Jalen Ramsey missed, 3 days of practice. And I think he's probably playing. But, obviously, if you're missing practice, I'd assume you're not fully 100%. Going into this one, I like the matchup here. I like Miami going to be able to pretty much cook them wherever they want and be able to have those quick drives. We talk about them being able to score so fast. That gets me the ball right back to the guys that I want on the other side of this game. Also just looking at Jacksonville being pretty good at stopping the run. They were pretty good at stopping the run last year, being a lot more of a pass funnel team. And obviously you got Achane who can make anything happen anytime he touches the ball. You still got Raheem Mostert, track guy, able to make big plays happen. And obviously Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle all over the top. So like that they can obviously score pretty quick on this defense, especially in the secondary where they're obviously much worse. But, man, I really like all these pieces that are gone for Christian Kirk to take this spot. Do I think Brian Thomas is going to be fantastic? Yes, I love Brian Thomas. But first game, kind of has that profile of going a little bit deeper on these routes, probably far more, 20 yards down the field, right? You got Gabe Davis, who pretty much does the same thing on the opposite side. And then you got the two underneath guys, right? And that's going to be Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. And if I have to rely on somebody to make some yards after the catch happen, that's going to be my boy Christian Kirk. And I think we're going to start seeing that these targets are going to be significantly more. We saw him last year, a little bit over 70 targets, only played 12 games. I think we start to see this guy take off. I have him again in my year-long fantasies quite a bit because the dude's going to be a PPR machine. And I think that all it takes is probably one of those, 20, 30-yard catches to make this one be a pretty easy one versus going to receptions here. So had a huge game against them last year. If you want to use that, sure. I'm not usually a guy that looks at matchups, especially when they're not in the same division.
Yeah.
But really like Christian Kirk this year. And I'm going to go to him right away. I'm going to go to him right away in his first game as the, I guess, de facto number one receiver.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, though, just with the pace of play and all that, how quick the Dolphins, like what you alluded to, as well as just in general. I mean, the talent that Lawrence has to work with, right? Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis, they aren't established. They don't have the chemistry that Kirk has with Lawrence that he had last year. So these kind of players may get more trust going into week one than the rookies or like the new guys. So, this makes a lot of sense to me. 55.5 seems really low.
It does, especially like there's 6.5, 7-point underdogs at this point. I mean, they're
game script is great too.
Yep, forced to throw. I mean, Miami, something like Tyreek Hill's first quarter receiving was like 20 yards already. His full game's almost 100 in game one. Like, this is going to be a very dominant offense. And obviously, I think they're going to try ball control. They're going to try to slow it down at first, but everyone tries that against Miami, and it didn't seem to work out because they can just score at a lightning quick rate, and they have some pretty good defenders that can force turnovers as well. My thing is like, It's you don't know the defensive scheme of Miami, which throws it off. Obviously, going from that famous Fangio kind of 2 deep safety looks, I'm wondering maybe they trust the names they have. Maybe they trust the Ramseys. They go a little bit more man coverage. Maybe if we're a little bit more man, coverage,
it's going to be a little different. That's what I
a little bit more single high coverage. Maybe we see those deep shots really take off. Gabe Davis 1-on-1, we know he can win deep. Brian Thomas, if you're not familiar with him, he can win deep. He is a big-bodied, fast wide receiver that wins down the field. The short and intermediate is kind of what's open right here. And I think Kirk does a fantastic job at that. They're going to be trailing. They're going to need those easy 7-8 yard receptions. And I think Jordan brought up a really good point right there. It's very simple. He's played with this quarterback for a long time. These other two guys are very, very new. So while we both, I think, all have, high aspirations for Thomas, it's going to be a little bit later in the season, I'm pretty sure. The only other guy that I will say gives you some major competition here is Evan Ingram. That's the guy I was kind of looking at in this game. Because Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk are doing the same thing. They're running those short yardage, quick dump down routes. The only thing is Ingram got juiced up from 4.5 receptions to 5.5, so I kind of had to pass on that right there. But I do like Kirk. It's an interesting offense. It's a new offense. They're going to have to pass a lot in this one, and Kirk should definitely just dominate over the middle of the field. Those little 8, 9, 10-yard passes, he should have at least 7 targets in that range.
Yeah, and the last thing I will bring up, I know I bring this up a decent amount, but I feel like it does help, and that's first half scoring, and it just defines game script, right? We talked about yesterday more with the Chiefs, right? They were really good first half scoring at home. Well, the Dolphins are number 2 last year in first half scoring at home. They average 18 points a game in the first half. Like, that is crazy, man. That's literally only behind Dallas. And Dallas had a game where they were up 40 at halftime. So that's obviously skews a lot.
Those splits, like when they play in that temperature, it's the thing.
And when they're at home, man, they're so fast. They just move. And obviously McDaniels just got his money too. So he's going to come out here with some new stuff. And we're going to see that ball get into the Jaguars' hands a little bit more than they're used to. So do like this spot. Hopefully Kirk can get it done for us to start us out. Let's take a look at a couple of these things in the chat. I'll kick this to you, Stu, to start us off on this question. You have a preference on Gus Edwards or Javonte Williams, with you being on Javonte in this one?
Yeah, I think it's Javonte. I like Gus Edwards, but Greg Roman has talked all offseason about riding the hot hand between Gus and Dobbins. It's very hard to predict. So when it comes down to, for me, is kind of touchdown upside, because there's no pass catching upside. Gus Bus is going to catch one pass at most. That's not his job. So you need that touchdown upside. This is going to be one of the either slowest or quickest games in the league, depending on how you look at it. The pace between these two teams is going to be so slow. Like, all these two teams want to do is run the ball. That's all either offensive coordinator, head coach has talked about all offseason. In a game where both sides are just going to slowly kind of bleed out the clock, the game's going to be over in like 2 hours and 30 minutes with just this boring rushing attack from both teams. So for me, I just don't see the upside in this game. I would really only be looking at unders at almost every prop in that game. So for that reason, I think it would easily have to be Javonte, especially with that high pass catching floor.
Beautiful. And I'll kick it to you, Jordan. You have any thoughts? Have you thought about anything with the Viking spot. Obviously, Aaron Jones. We got Ty Chandler still there from last time. I won't talk because I'm obviously a Packer guy. I still love Aaron Jones. Just didn't pay him, so obviously he goes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, no, I've definitely seen the reports that they definitely want to like utilize, and I think I saw something along the lines of Aaron Jones saying he's still in his best shape, like for years to come. I don't know if you guys saw that. As far as terms of receiving, it's definitely one of his like upsides, especially like with PFF. Like they graded that as his receiving skills as one of the best in his position. I didn't actually like personally lean one way or another. It's one of those wait and see types of approaches. I want to see how they utilize him in a new offense here. That's just my thoughts. Best way I could do to help.
Yeah, no, and I can kind of throw a little bit in there too. Is the Packers used him sometimes split out. They used him in the slot sometimes last year and ran specific plays for him. So obviously, offensive line has been kind of an issue for the Vikings. I know they've tried to fix it up a little bit. So you could see more reception spots, but it's hard to just bet a reception prop on Aaron Jones when he has the ability to break a big play at any time he touches the ball. So I always find it a little bit tough too when you literally have a top 3 wide receiver right out there whenever you want to just feed the ball out to Jefferson there. But I think while Hawkinson is out, Aaron Jones might be that guy. I know Month.
That's true. That actually is a really good point that you brought up. Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of Hawkinson because I'm waiting. Week 5, week 6.
Yeah.
When all the buys start coming, hopefully he's coming back. But those short underneath routes, we could definitely see Jones make something happen.
It'll be interesting what game script they're in too, right? If they're trailing, I mean, then they're going to have to pass more. I personally don't think they're going to be trailing. I did bet them this week against the Giants. So pray for me, pray for Sam Darnold. That's my biggest spread bet of the week. Feels a little bit weird to be trusting him, but I like Aaron Jones. I saw our guy Birdman posted him at like 12.5. I assume it's gone up now to like 14 or 15, and that's what I would guess. But it was at like 19-20, most of last year, and I don't see why that wouldn't be pretty similar. Ty Chandler will be involved for sure. He'll be the Justice Hill in that equation, I think. It just, we know Aaron Jones can catch passes, right? We know that. That's
what he does.
Calling card. So it's hard to resist, but it's week 1. You don't need to bet everything on the board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, guys, drop those questions in there. We'll try our best to get to everything. I think that's all the questions I saw in there so far. Hit that like button. We are heading on to plays number 2 for each one of us. I'm actually going to switch it over to you, PropBomb, to start us off because me and Stu actually have bets in the same game. So we'll kind of talk about that one a little bit longer. But you get to take us away. I believe this is the Sunday night game. Should be some fireworks out there. Highest total on the slate.
Yeah, just trust me on this one, guys. It's we're going to do the Sunday night game. You're going to have to wait a little bit. It's Demarcus Robinson. I gave this out on my Discord yesterday. 27.5 receiving yards. I believe now it's 28.5. 1 yard won't make a difference, so obviously still playable. This is a guy that, look, last year he was irrelevant the first 10 weeks of the season on the Rams when they were trying to find out who their third wide receiver was while Cooper Kupp also was banged up in the beginning of the season. But like they were trying to toy with the idea of like Tutu Atwell, Van Jefferson in the beginning. And it really wasn't up until week 11 when this guy, Demarcus Robinson, kind of comes out of nowhere, logs a 60% snap count, and kind of locks in that wide receiver 3 role going forward. I'm looking at like the snap counts here. From week 14 onwards, he had consistent games of 86, 95, 93, 92% snap rates, which you want to see someone who's actively involved on the field and running routes. Another stat that kind of pointed out here, I'm looking in front of me, it says he ran the second most routes on that team in that span too as well. So that's according to fantasy points. And just in general, I mean, there's been only good things said about him in camp. People are saying he's been aging in reverse in a good way. People are saying this person, Cameron DeSilva from Rams Wire, said he's just been one of those stars on the team. So then you get a 27.5 receiving line, a guy that obviously is now hoping to be the number locked into the secured wide receiver 3 on the team in an offense that's going to be playing against the Detroit Lions, who, if you remember last year, were stout, incredible, amazing against stopping the run. You have to throw to beat them. They ran 3 wide receiver sets at the highest rate last year, and that was, of course, with Zach Robinson, who's now on the Atlanta Falcons, but I'm assuming that still continues. The one risk here, Connor Allen from 444 pointed this out to me. Jordan Whittington is the rookie wide receiver for the Rams. He definitely shined a lot in the preseason, but that was also when the starters were pulled out, including Demarcus Robinson. So that kind of foreshadows that Demarcus Robinson is the starter. So I'm not worried that much yet so far. And then you look at Jared Goff's passing line, right? It's 263.5 yards. Do you think that, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp can combine for that? I feel like 27.5 is enough for Demarcus Robinson. And honestly, I think it's a low line. This was 42.5 last time they played last year. So I think this is a good value play. Very, very under the radar. And I like this here to close week 1.
Yeah, as a Tutu Atwell fan, this hurts my heart because I was a believer. It looked like he was the wide receiver 3 last year, and then he wasn't anymore. And Demarcus Robinson came in. And like you said, this is a guy, he's lined at 27 now. He was consistently at that 40, 41 mark because at the end of the day, this is one of the most explosive offenses in football, right? This is one of the most dangerous offenses in football. My biggest thing for this prop and the reason why I like it right here is because the Lions run a ton of single high safety coverage. They were top 3 almost all of last season in single high. They're going to run a lot of man coverage and a lot of single high coverage. Demarcus Robinson is a downfield route runner. That's where he's going to be. He's not going to be the short intermediate guy. We already have Cooper Kupp. He's the best in the league for that. And then we have Puka Nacua on the outside, who's probably going to be the guy getting that one safety look, right? He's probably going to be getting the safety attention out there.
Yeah, Brian Barch, whatever.
Exactly. So we're going to see those checkdowns to either Cooper Kupp or we're going to see the deep shots. And I really think Demarcus Robinson is going to be kind of, I don't want to say he can get this in one catch, but that's kind of the range of outcomes I would expect where he's going to be more of the downfield target. And this game is going to rock, by the way. This game is going to be so fun. I'm so glad they made it a primetime Sunday night one. I'm expecting this to go over. And I would barely ever bet an over in the 50s, but I think we're just going to have all offense all the time. And yeah, I think this is going to be it. I wish Demarcus Robinson wasn't on this team. I want to see the rookie. I want to see Tutu Atwell. I think those guys are more fun. You know what I mean? But Robinson clearly does have a role here. And I think if you're expecting a lot of offense, then I think this is a good play for him.
Yeah, it should be fast game too, right? The Lions can score quick with everybody, right? Amon-Ra out there too. He's fully healthy. Laporta's looking healthy now too. And man, Jahmyr Gibbs, I think obviously everybody's talking about him taking that step forward this year. I think going early second rounds in fantasy drafts. So you're starting to see him get some love there too. So fast game sounds good to me. And obviously Demarcus Robinson being that guy over the top.
Yeah, definitely get it in now though, because by the time Sunday comes, this could be 30.5. So just get it in now.
Yeah, no one's thinking about that game yet, right? Everybody's looking at, we have a really nice game tonight. Obviously, go Pack Go. You see the stuff up there. Hopefully we can get it done. But people are looking at that one. And then that's what? Oh, they get stuck with college football all Saturday. And then they're like, oh, I just got smoked in the noon game. Now I get to look at the night game. And everybody's starting to do the same thing. So get those locked in early, right? There's a nice spot to do that right now. And let's take a look at the chat before we get into ours.
I see Matt Williams. Hey,
we got Matt popping in here. I saw Connor Allen was in here.
I also saw Jacob Wayne. He says, shout out JSN Hive. Yeah, I like that.
There we go. I saw the JSN right in there. So we got Brian in here. So seeing all these guys in here. We appreciate all you guys popping in here. Bobby Boucher did catch that. Good job. You did get that one. And one question before we get into me and Stu going into the Washington game here. I know you're a big guy on Diontae, Stu. At least in best ball. Do either one of you guys have a thoughts on him in this matchup here against the Saints?
So you want to go first?
Well, yeah, I was going to say this is probably the toughest one I left off my card. I've literally 44% best ball Diontae Johnson. My thing is just I've seen all the man coverage stats. I know he greatest separation. At the end of the day, it's one of those things where he's getting a really tough matchup in Lattimore on the other side. He's, I think, probably going to follow him around a decent amount. And I don't know how good the Panthers are. They could just be the same Panthers as last year. I've kind of been on this, I don't want to say I'm anti-Dave Canales because he's probably already the best head coach in this division. That just shows how bad the coaching is in this division. But, the dude has gotten a couple good seasons out of bad quarterbacks, and people treat him like he is God. They truly treat him like he's just going to snap his fingers and erase everything we saw from Bryce Young last year. But I saw it. I watched all the tape. We bet Bryce Young under longest completion 10 times last year for a reason. So I would like to see it before I bet on it, but I know it's popular, and I love Diontae Johnson. He's a good player. He's going to be good this year. I'm going to wait and see week 1, but it was the hardest play to leave off of my card so far this week easily.
I mean, this was actually one of my props. I actually went the receiving yard route. Receptions is fine. Mono said it the best way. This is on paper not the best matchup versus Lattimore man coverage. But then again, you're playing with the role here. Like, do you think this 4.5 number is going to be the same thing week 6? So I think you got to have to look past the matchup and just take the new situation, kind of like the theme of the show, right? I mean, he looks to be the new X receiver on this team. Canales just keeps highlighting this guy whenever he can. He's in a new situation where last season he was on the Steelers and it was more so run heavy oriented with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, where they can kind of, dictate the offense. Now it's a new situation. I lean the over, man. But again, I'm not going to lie. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah. Also, one more thing. Very underrated hands with Diontae Johnson. Despite terrible quarterback play,
he's an amazing separator
last year. Because even beyond the separation, though, 2 drops last year with Kenny Pickett at quarterback. That's pretty impressive. Those balls are being thrown like 14 yards near you. So Bryce Young, he's accurate. He can't throw the ball more than 10 yards, but at least he'll be able to serve you up those, solid 4-yard screen passes this year.
Yep, make something happen. You got to make something happen in those catches here. But yeah, I mean, Frank Reich just kind of destroyed Bryce Wilson last year. That was just – I watched 2 Panther games and my eyes almost fell out. It was pretty brutal. But talking about a team with a little bit more hype here, we're coming at you with the Buccaneers-Washington game. Should be a fun one. Stu and I are both in the same game. Pretty similar kind of bets, but I'll just put both of them out there, and I'll let you take it away first, Stu. Stu will be playing Chris Godwin, and I will be on Baker over passing. So then I can put this on the bottom here, and we can get all of them out there. Stu, start us off here, and I'm sure we'll be talking about a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, man, this is like the first prop that I wanted to fire all week. Like it's been in my drafts. I've just been staring at it all week long. It's opened at 56, moved to 57, 58. Now we're back down to 56 again. But I'd still play it at 57 or 58 when it inevitably moves back up after this show. But I like Godwin a lot. We talked about him on the Best Ball show. One of the biggest things all offseason, you see him new offensive coordinator Liam Cohen coming from more of a West Coast offense, more of a spread offense. Let's throw the ball. If you remember, Dave Canales is getting all the credit in the world for being the quarterback whisperer, but what he really did was say, we're going to run the ball about 40,000 times in an effort to set up efficient third down opportunities. That's been the name of the game for Dave Canales, to set up efficient third down opportunities and try to convert on them. That's what he did with Gino. That's what he did with Baker. He reined them in a little bit, made them a little bit more run first, and then you need to convert on those efficient third downs. That's not happening anymore. We don't need to just automatically assume Rachaad White, run for 2 yards. Rachaad White, run for 2 yards. Okay, now third down pass. We can actually expect some offensive creativity. So I like Rachaad White, but I don't think he's going to be that same mega bell cow as last year. And then you look at Washington. Washington's defense last year was terrible. Most passing yards allowed in the league. They were bad. And guess what? They got worse. They somehow got worse. I mean, this cornerback room is so bad. That's all offseason. I don't understand why people, maybe just because no one cares about the Commanders. This is clearly, in my opinion, the worst secondary in the league. And it might be a pretty big gap. Benjamin St. Juste is going to be on the outside. 2 or 3 years ago, I love the guy. He's big. He cannot defend without fouling. He truly cannot. He led the league in penalties last year for a good chunk. He might not have finished first, but he's definitely got to be in that top 10. He's probably getting benched is probably what took him out of the top 5. But St. Juste is a guy that I've watched his whole career. I really wanted him to be good. He's big. He's got the arm span. He's just not, right? He just can't. They moved him in the slot. That didn't work. They moved him back outside. How's that going to work when you go up against Mike Evans? Additionally, Emmanuel Forbes. Guys, let me give a basketball analogy for you. Emmanuel Forbes is Johnny Davis. Emmanuel Forbes is Johnny Davis. We can't pretend like we didn't see what we saw last year. Emmanuel Forbes is not someone that we can pray is just going to magically get better. We saw what we saw. He is not big enough to be playing in the NFL. This guy guarding outside wide receivers is insane. And I know that's all he did in college. He's not a slot guy. He gets those interceptions. He plays man coverage. He's not big enough. Point blank. He's not. Look at the guy. He couldn't even Oh my God. The guy couldn't even guard in preseason going against wide receiver 3s or 4s. He had another discouraging preseason. Emmanuel Forbes is not going to be a starter for very long. Finally, we got the rookie Mike Sandstrill from Michigan. He actually, I think, could be pretty good. He's a nickel, a little bit undersized, 5'9". That's probably what kept him out of the first round. A lot of guys liked his talent, but he's not as flexible. He's mostly going to be a slot, a nickel kind of corner. Maybe he gets outside a little bit. I think that's who Godwin's going to see mostly. But we got to remember, even when Pete Godwin was playing in the slot, that was 56%, right? All those seasons where it was Pete Godwin, is still 56%. He's still going to be the wide receiver 2 on wide receiver 2 sets, which means he's going to be outside as well. So we got a rookie who he's got about a 3-inch size advantage over, a huge experience advantage over, and then 2 of, in my opinion, truly the worst starting outside corners in the league. They also brought in Davis from the Chargers. Davis was famous for being good 3 years ago in press coverage. If you remember, the Chargers got a little bit of credit a while ago for pressing Tyreek Hill as opposed to playing in his zone. That was Davis. Then they tried it about 4 more times, and he had like 250 yards. So Davis, I think, should probably be a starter just because St. Juste, once again, is awful. Forbes are awful. I think Davis can be a starter, but he's a one-dimensional press corner. He is not an above-average corner. He is at best average. When I look at this room, like I said, I truly see one of the worst cornerback rooms in the league, one of the worst I've seen in a little bit. And then you contrast that with the defensive line, which still has some continuity. They brought in Farrell, who I actually think is a good bounce-back candidate. I think he has a good season. He was crushing in the preseason. They even had so much confidence in Mathis, who they drafted last year, that they traded away their backup defensive line to the Saints. So I think they're going to probably be a middle-of-the-road to above-average defensive end or defensive line, and then the worst secondary in the league, which means we're going to see exactly what we saw last season, which is a huge pass funnel, right? We're going to see teams go deep on them all year long. They did upgrade the safety room. They brought in Jeremy Chin, who can play in the box a little bit more. And then they brought, they got their second-year safety from last year, Martin, stepping up into a bigger role. So I think they're going to be a little better at limiting those downfield explosive plays. I think Mike Evans is going to see that double almost every single time he goes beyond the 15-yard line. And I think that's just going to open up the middle of the field for Chris Godwin to absolutely dominate. Other thing I want to touch on, because I could talk about this like quarterback room all day. It's so frustrating that Washington did nothing. Like it's really bad. Like it's a really bad quarterback room. And I know you're going to talk about Baker in a second right here, but I'll just say the final thing is I don't necessarily think this game script is going to be one where they can just run all game. Like I don't see the Buccaneers being 4.5 points better than the Commanders. If Jay Daniels is anything, if he can extend drives, if he can convert third downs, they kick a couple field goals, this is going to be a close game the whole time. And I don't think it's going to, game strip Godwin out. So I talked about Godwin a lot in the offseason. I'm very high on him. I think he has a great year. And what better way to start the season than against one of the worst secondary groups in the Washington Commanders?
Yes, sir. And I'll just kind of throw a couple things on there. He did a lot of the heavy lifting for me, but I really like your defensive line. Like I love Payne. Obviously Jonathan Allen has been a dog for 3 years now. So like it's proven, right? And they were giving up over 260 yards a game passing last year, right? And I just can't get my head around it if they just run Rachaad White 25 times in this game into that front seven, because he ain't fast enough to get to the outside, right? And that's the thing is he brought in Bucky.
That's what Canales did too. Yeah. Like he's out of the picture. Like that was his whole thing, was the whole run heavy.
Yeah, and that plus I'm hoping they use Bucky Irvin in that pass game, because he is a great catcher of the ball from the backfield. You obviously get to see a little bit more Cade Otton. I love Cade Otton. I think he does a great job in the red zone. But we get to a little McMillan action. I got a lot of him in best ball. I think that's going to be a really nice pickup here for that wide receiver 3. We talk about it a lot where it's like, man, I like this guy, I like this guy, and I like this guy. Well, there's one thing that's the same, and it's the quarterback throwing on the ball, right? So Mike Evans, I looked at it. It was pretty staggering to me. He had 41% of their targeted air yards last year. Chris Godwin, 25%. Now you bring in a guy like McMillan, who I think is going to be a really good fit here in that wide receiver 3. I think we get a little bit more of those dump downs again. You get Rachaad White and Bucky Irvin, who are both very good pass catching backs. I just don't think that you're going to get anything out of this run game up the middle. And even I would even struggle to even say off the tackles. It's going to be a tough spot for you to run against this defense, because that's what they do well. And I think they're going to try and shut that down, make you one-dimensional. But we saw Baker at the end of last year just rack off 300-yard games when they were trailing. And I think this game is going to be close. I do like what you talked about with the spread there. I think Washington is a very live dog in this game at that 4 number, because We see Jaden Daniels. He's got a number one receiver. He's got a good difference in backs there with Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. I think this is a good enough team to keep it close. I don't think the Buccaneers are that good. And you have a team that's really going to be one-dimensional. Just, hey, send that thing, Baker. Chuck that thing down the field, and let's see Mike Evans make some play.
Yeah, no, that's good. You guys sold me on this. I didn't put so much attention on this game, to be honest with you. Offensive coordinator, of course, bringing in the new offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, to move Godwin to be in his more natural alignment in the slot position is definitely going to help him out, especially back in the Tom Brady days. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And then, like what you said, if this game is close and the Commanders are competitive with Jaden Daniels, at the helm, that's definitely going to help with the passing yards as well. You don't want it to be as game script where they're up double digits and then they just give it to Rachaad White. So if it's close, definitely helps out in the Baker play.
Yeah, no, and I think Justin, too, at the beginning, he nailed it. When you look at a team and you're going, well, I want to play Godwin, well, I want to play Evans, well, I want to play everybody, right? I think it does make a lot of sense. Too, yeah. Yeah, to go to the quarterback right there, Baker Mayfield. So we're both on the same page. I did also play McMillan as well. He's also one of my most exposed guys. Right now, you can get his 50 receiving yards at plus 450, and you can get his 60 at plus 800. I think both of those are worth a couple bucks because I think he's going to be another downfield option. Just kind of how we talked about Mike Evans getting that safety help. Then you're going to see Godwin likely over the middle. Well, the wide receiver 3 is going to get one-on-one coverage with whatever other garbage cornerback is out there, and that's going to be McMillan. He completely earned the wide receiver 3 role out of camp. Very good coach speak about him coming in. I think he could be a good deep threat. We saw him do it at Washington as well. He got injured. It brought down his stock a little bit. McMillan, in my opinion, is more impressive than Polk. I'm not in the same Polk. Going back and watching all that Washington tape, I like McMillan more. So I think the hype train, it hasn't quite started for him, but I think it will after week 1, especially if he can make kind of a splashy catch. So I love your Baker play. I'm definitely tailing. And I see in the chat too, Bobby said Evans he thinks is the play. I cannot hate on that.
It just goes to his point.
There's a lot of options on this team. I will just say I think if anyone's going to be getting bracketed a little bit more, that aggressive downfield coverage, I think it's going to be Evans. And just I gotta pray they don't put my rookie cornerback out there on him, or Emmanuel Forbes, not a rookie anymore, my 5'4" cornerback. Because if he's one-on-one with Forbes, I can't say that on YouTube, but I'm going to be very sad on Sunday. So we'll hope for the best. It's always if you're new here, I've been against my team a lot. I'm a Commanders fan. You can see the little $5 sign behind me right there. But we bet on them a lot. They're not a good team.
It's beautiful. We got Terrence in here, seeing a couple other guys in here. As always, guys, if you could hit that like button for us. We got 60 of you guys in here, 50 minutes in with us. I can't believe it's been 50 minutes. We're already almost getting to the end of this. We got all of our picks out. And let's do – obviously, we have the recap on the bottom. We'll recap. We'll hit some questions here. And we'll maybe look at some long shots or some touchdown spots here because Terrence asked us to on the bottom there. I saw him already get to that. So I'll kick it to you, Stu, to start us off with the recap, and then we'll get prop bombs.
Sounds good. We start out Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions, minus 130. It's DraftKings, then 365, then FanDuel. They all have the best pricing. I'd play it to minus 150, minus 155 range. And then we got Chris Godwin over 56.5 receiving yards. Like I said, 56 or 57 on every book. I'd play it to 59 or 60, but I have a hard time seeing it get over 60. So anything 60 or under, I would definitely fire at.
Beautiful. Let's get to Jordan's here.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm going with Mr. JSN on the Seahawks. Same game with Javonte Williams. I'm going him to have over 18.5. Longest reception, minus 114. And then I'm also going to be going with Sunday night game against the Lions. Demarcus Robinson over 27.5 receiving yards, minus 120 at DraftKings. You can still get that line, by the way.
Beautiful. I'm on Christian Kirk over 55.5 receiving yards on FanDuel there, and Baker Mayfield over 245 passing yards. I might upgrade that to 1.5. We'll see. I think I might end up doing it. But let's get to some questions here before we get to some long shots. I guess it's kind of up. Do we want to do touchdown parlay, or do you want to do like your favorite long shot here? Just because it's week 1.
I mean, it's up to you. I'm going with touchdown parlay, definitely. I was also curious. We normally do dog of the week.
Yeah, I was like waiting for that. I was waiting for you to lob it up.
You want to fire off? It's spread pick central. Everyone's betting spreads week 1. feel like we got to have a dog.
Look, so like last time when I came on the show, I didn't expect the dog of the week to be like a thing. So then I was prepared to come on with one. And then now you guys don't have one. But I mean, Mono earlier on the show shitting on the Panthers. And I like the Panthers here versus the Saints. That's my underdog pick of the week, Panthers +4. I think they've done a good job. And I think just improving the personnel. What I mean by that is bringing in Canales, who everyone says he's like the QB whisperer, right? Like he helped save Baker Mayfield's career. He helped save Geno Smith. Now they want to do the same thing for Bryce Young. Bryce Young can't get worse than how he was last year, especially with the weapons that they've added. Diontae Johnson, right? Xavier Legette, the rookie I like out of college. And then you look at the Saints side here, and the one part that I don't like about the Saints is their offensive line is like terrible. One of the big things for them is like they had their all-pro right tackle, Ryan Ramczyk, fall with an injury. And I think that's just going to really hurt this team. They got this rookie, Talias Fuaga, who is now going to be having to play a position he never played in college. So I think it's like a whole musical chairs type thing. And I don't think the offensive line is going to be as great as it was last year. I think that's definitely something that will hurt the Saints and also to the talent, right? Like Michael Thomas, like you have Chris Olave, you have Kamara, and then you have Rashad. You know what I mean? I'm just blanking right here. But no, I think like the Panthers are not going to be as worse as they were last year. I think the sky is up from there, and I think it's more of a pick 'em than +4. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm a Panthers hater, but like Saints as 4-point favorites is crazy, right? Like it's crazy. I mean, you look at those ATS records with both Carr and their coach. It's insane. It's so bad. It's truly the worst coach-quarterback combo, not only in the league, but especially against the spread. So hard to hate on that as an underdog. I'm going to go with the Commanders +3.5. I don't care. I'm allowed to take my own team week 1.
Okay,
baby,
cool.
I'm on them. That's my team too. So I had
this works with your guys' logic. Okay.
I was going to say, it feels like a field goal game to me. It feels like a field goal game either way. And to me, if you're going to give me the 3.5, the other one that was in close contention, since you like that as well, was if we can just get to that 7 on the Cardinals, I'll take it. Like 6.5 is close. If we can just get to that 7, the Cardinals, they can backdoor cover. They like the offense is explosive enough. I think the Bills win the game, but I do think the Cardinals can cover that one. So that was the other one that did stick out to me. And then, like I said, not a dog, but I'm big on the Vikings this week. So hopefully no one in here likes the Giants. Danny Dimes is going down.
Yeah, let me see what the best line is right now on that Buffalo one, because I have seen it's still 6.5, pretty solid.
Yeah, okay.
Still pretty solid at the 6.5 -110 on that side. But yeah, I like Washington in this one. And it's for the reason why I like Baker. I think this game's going to stay close, and I think it's going to be coming down to that last drive. And hopefully Baker gets them to win by a field goal. Get it right there. We cover both. So I think it's going to be a good game. And I think Washington's going to compete in that one, dude. I just have a good feeling about that one. We got Bobby in here talking about some of the Bengals. What's your guys' thoughts on the Jamar Chase stuff? Do you guys think he's playing this week? I'm just curious.
It sounds like he's playing, yeah.
He just did an interview an hour ago where he said he's going to play but probably limited. Or he didn't say he was going to play, but he said he was probably going to play, I believe was his wording. He would just be limited. And then now T. Higgins as well, getting that injury designation. He's either going to be limited or not play as well. So, man, it's a banged up team. I'm not taking them in Survivor like everyone else. I'm going to pick someone else. I don't like that pick. Gesicki is always an interesting one. You talked about him a lot. I would definitely take both of these guys, especially if Higgins misses.
Yeah, you guys already know I went on an extensive rant on my guy, Mike Gesicki, that probably didn't need to go that long, but really, really, I went for like 10 minutes on Mike Gesicki, and I'm a fan of him.
He's not competing. If you guys pass the prop OGs, he's not competing with Durham Smythe, the GOAT, anymore. I bet on Durham Smythe like 8 times on the show, and he never got a touchdown, not once. I tried to fake Gesicki.
To be fair, though, he's been in really bad situations like the Patriots and the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is going to be definitely his best environment he's been in like the past 4 years. So I'm on your side here. So
No, I just had to remind the chat of Durham Smythe, the legend himself.
Durham Smythe. What about Jonnu Smith? Jonnu Smith. No. So we want to talk about some long shot touchdowns. We want to do a touchdown parlay. What's the move here?
Yes. Let's get to that. I don't have your guys' touchdown ones. That's the one thing we didn't put out here. So let's get this thing going. We'll start out with Stu. What do you want? Touchdown parlay.
This is tough. There's so many week one. There's so many different.
I really hope nobody goes with mine. I'm curious what.
Okay, well, I'm going to lock in Dalton Kincaid then for mine. I'll build it out on Pickett right now so I can get the best odds when you guys each go. Kincaid right now, best I see is plus 165 on DraftKings. I think they're going to be in the red zone a lot. Like I said, I do think the Cardinals can backdoor, but I do like Bill's offense in this game. I think the Cardinals defense is going to have trouble slowing them down. So when they're in the red zone, James Cook is not the best red zone back in the world. Josh Allen is Josh Allen, but at the end of the day, we always know that they start him a little slower to go, right? They don't want him taking that many hits early in the season. So I think the designed rushes are going to be down early on. I think he's going to be passing. Kincaid's his number one target. He's going to be more active in the red zone. We just have to pray that we do not get demolished by Dawson Knox, because if Dawson Knox catches a touchdown, I'd be really sad, because Dawson Knox still is there. People never talk about him. He's still there. He's still going to magically be alive in the red zone. It's just one of those things. He's a blocker first. That's what he's going to be out there to do. I think Kincaid will get a touchdown in one of their many red zone trips in this game. So many options, guys. I want to take like 80 different guys, but I do like the plus money price on Kincaid.
All right. I'll go with Kenneth Walker. Let's just make it easy. I don't know why it's whatever, minus 110, minus 120 odds. Seahawks have a team total of 23.5. They're playing at home. They're 6-point favorites. The new offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, should come in and help with the downfield passes. I think he was also like top 5 in terms of goal line carries. I don't think Zach Charbonnet is going to be the guy that's taking that role from him away anytime soon. So, Kenneth Walker, I think it's just plug and play.
I agree. Kenny's a good pick for you. Who we at, Justin? I see you smiling up there. Who we looking at? I
think I'm going to bet both of these guys, but I wanted to take Caleb Williams at plus 350. I think I'm going to switch over to Jaden Daniels at plus 200 on FanDuel right now. I don't think that they're going to be able to run that ball up the middle with Brian Robinson, just ram it down there. I think it's going to be one of those, 5-yard runs. Jaden Daniels is being able to, extend the play like he would be able to in college. Obviously, I'm not saying he's got the weapons of like a Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas over there, but you still got Terry McLaurin. You don't really have an over-the-top tight end that's good in the red zone, right? I mean, you got Zach Ertz and Sano, right, the new rookie guy. So I think that this is a good spot, because if you're running for your life, I think he's probably been in that situation enough where it's just like, all right, I can do this. And he's plus 200, the top guy to score on this team. You don't see Eckler in between the tackles very much. I think this is a good spot for plus 200. I think it's pretty good value here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's 3 guys it's down to when they get to the red zone. It's Daniels, it's Robinson, and then, like you said, it's Zach Ertz. Like, obviously, Scary Terry, I think, can score from outside of the red zone. He might get a fade or something like that. But I probably will end up betting Ertz touchdown, just because, these are my guys. It's DC. You already know that a rep. A couple of homer bets to start out the week. But I do like Jane Daniels. Just how I talked about Josh Allen being conservative in the beginning of seasons. If you've ever watched Jane Daniels, conservative is absolutely not even a word in his vocabulary. The guy doesn't even practice sliding. I don't know if you saw that earlier. I asked him if he practiced sliding. He's like, no. Someone needs to fix that, by the way. We need to get this guy to slide, because he still weighs about 142 pounds. So hopefully he doesn't get killed. That's my biggest concern with Jay Daniels. These guys are bigger in the NFL than they are in LSU. But yeah, I like the spot a lot. Jacob in the chat nailed it right there with the read option game. I think they're going to be very involved. And I think Robinson will be he's a threat. He's a good running back as well. So I like Daniels a lot. And yeah, you made it a little bit more plus money. The total comes up to 1504. DraftKings has the best price for that, 1504.
Yeah. Could I transition here with the cool long shot I was just looking at?
Let's do it.
Check this one out. It's the same kind of vibe with the quarterback. Will Levis touchdown. I kind of like that here. I think it's very sneaky. I don't think people are thinking about the impact of Derrick Henry leaving the team. And maybe, this is a guy, Will Levis, that had 11 touchdowns in 24 college games. He has shown that he can run it in. definitely has great combine skill, 40-yard dash. I don't have the number in front of me. I saw it before coming in the show, but at plus 650, I mean, I think that has okay value. We saw that kind of stuff with like Sam Darnold like 2 or 3 years ago on the Panthers. Like these guys that come out of nowhere and just like show you something new. I think it's an interesting long shot. I'm not really one to do those things, but I had to call my shot here on the show.
I like it. And that Bears defense is tough. Like it's a good defense. When a quarterback is, kind of a no man's land, you see them scramble more. You see them just say, fuck it, let me put my head down. And I watched him play in college. I didn't know he had that many rushing.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, for sure.
I had no clue. So that's impressive right there. I like the look.
Yeah, and I mean, who is it? It's Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard. They ain't running in between the tackles. So
yeah, exactly. He's got
definitely good looks for sure. So we have all of our props on the bottom, guys. We just went through our long shots, got everything through there. I believe, let me take a look. Harrison, I did mention this a little bit earlier. We do have our show from Wednesday that has I have a Friday prop out there. So that is ready to go. Let's take a look. I think we have 2 more questions here, and then we can get out of here. Then we can break it up. We'll get it rolling here. So, Brian, talking about Chuba Hubbard at plus money, 2.5 receptions. Spot there at all that you guys are thinking about? That's going to be one of, like I said, that's going to be a tough game to watch.
Makes sense. I mean, I think the Saints grab Chase Young as far as their edge rusher, so maybe there's some pressure. I mean, they really weren't that much of a pressured defense just in general. So, I mean, over 2.5 receptions. It's okay. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't mind it, honestly. I don't know what this running back room is going to look like. Like, I forgot about Miles Sanders. That guy's still alive somehow. Like, it's an ugly room. Chuba, I think I like him on the ground more just because we just talked about running, establishing the run with Canales. I think that's probably what they do. Man, these two teams are very unknown. There's a lot of things up in the air. So I'm not like jumping out of my way to back Chuba week 1, but I wouldn't mind this, honestly. I think the logic's there, especially with how the usage of Rachaad White was last season. If you can kind of imagine that kind of early start, then I think it makes a lot of sense, especially against New Orleans, who still does have a pretty solid defense.
Beautiful. I will take this next one. I am actually on receiving yards for Scary Terry this week. I'm going to be taking his yards. I think it's like 59.5. I'm going to be taking yards over reception just because I think he's got a little bit more of that downfield threat here. Obviously with Dotson leaving, I think we see a little bit more air yards going the way of Terry McLaurin. But yeah, I already have a bet at 59.5 on Scary Terry. I really just like that game, right? That's the game I talked about as my favorite. And I just don't know why the number 1 receiver in a game that I think is going to go over this 42.5 total. I think you're going to need him to show out for this rookie quarterback here. And last one for tonight, Eddie, guy on the chat here, who's been here quite often with us throughout the whole MLB and NBA season. We got Devontae Smith, longest reception over 22.5 tonight. I'm not usually a longest reception guy. Either one of you guys have anything on this one?
Well, I personally, A.J. Brown was the guy I would have pulled the trigger on. I was close. A.J. Brown at 23.5, just 1 yard more. When you look at what the Packers' new defensive coordinator did, because looking at last year's stats are really useless completely. When you look at what he did in college when he was calling defensive plays, he used a lot of man coverage and a lot of single high. It's been a couple of years, so I don't know if we're going to come in with that same philosophy, but I would assume, judging by all the comments, Jair Alexander in interviews was saying they've let us play a lot more free. He's letting us do a lot more of our own thing, which to me screams a little bit more man coverage, a little bit less zone. So I do think he continues that. So for that reason, I'd go with AJ Brown, who's like a dominant man coverage guy, a dominant guy against single high safety coverage. Devonta Smith, also the whole world is just now instantly running with the idea that he's going to be like a full-time slot receiver. Just because one guy on Twitter posted that his yards per route run were way better in the slot versus way better outside. Like, Jahan Dotson does not majorly change. The guy sucks. He's not that good. Look at all those Ron Rivera. Oh, he's a first-round draft pick. Look at every guy Ron Rivera drafted. Emmanuel Forbes was the other guy right before him. These guys are all going to be out the league in a couple of years. So I really am not concerned about Dotson. I think Smith, people are I like Smith a lot, by the way. I talked about it on the best ball show. He's one of my most owned wide receivers. But, like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of weird kind of narratives around this game personally. But that being said, I do kind of like both of them to have good games. If I had to pick, it would be A.J. Brown for me.
I have no lean either way. I think this is one of those games I don't want to touch. I told both Stu and PPS before coming in that I'm kind of struggling finding some conviction on this game tonight. I mean, it's in Brazil. These players are like staying in hotels. Like, I don't know what to expect, especially the new offensive coordinator too, Keelan Moore, coming into the Eagles. I want to wait and see the types of schemes and plays that he runs for the team before firing on changes. So on that note, I'm personally staying away on this game until I can find something I like.
Beautiful. Well, you guys know where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be watching that game. I got I have a wedding tomorrow. I'm standing up.
Oh, congratulations! Nice.
We have our rehearsal stuff tonight, and the guy whose wedding it is as big of a Packer fan as me. So he's like, "Hey, we're gonna run through this quick. Let's get this done quick, and we're gonna get to a bar and let's watch this thing, man."
Wedding during NFL season. Interesting.
So he knows. I was nice enough to not have any NFL games when I did mine, because I'm thinking about that, So we are done with our props. We're done with all the questions. We got everything through. Jordan, thank you for popping in with us today. Awesome. Tell everybody where to find you. We already have your Twitter in the link in the bottom of the video, in the description of the video. So make sure you guys check out that. But where else can you guys find you and see all your stuff?
Yeah, right now it's just one place. I'm on Twitter, and I have a Discord that I've actually just reached 1 year anniversary 2 days ago. I'm very proud of that milestone. Right now, I could still give it out. I did a 20% off promo code. It comes out to about like $1 a day. I think it's a great deal. Not only do we have football going on in there, we have WNBA. My guy Elick in there is 14-3 on his best bets the last 17 days. And then you got some baseball going on. So it's not just one sport. Definitely come check out the community if you're interested. And we'd love to have you in there.
Yeah, and PropBomb's crew is one of the only I would be willing to vouch for. In fact, the only other one I'd be willing to vouch for in terms of groups of people. Like, the guys he's brought on are fantastic. So in addition to his place, you're getting some good guys in there as well. I did see a couple people ask me about DC sports bars. Message me where you are in the city. I can give you good recommendations based on where you want to go. I tend to go to like Walters and some of the stuff in the Navy Yard area because it's right next to the MGM Sportsbook, which is right next to Nats Park, and it's not that far from me. So, but if you do want more specific recommendations, I can definitely do that. Just message me after the show. As for anything else, though, I already got a couple more props out. These are like my only overs. I've got a couple more unders that I've already posted. One for the game tonight as well. It's my only play for tonight. It'll probably be my only play for tonight. I think it's a kind of unpopular under that if you read the analysis, I think people would really dig. So make sure to go check out 4 for 4. Also got a code 20-something% off the full year or $10 first month. It's pinned on Twitter. That's going to end in like 2 days. So get on it quickly. You saw what we did last night, baby. We started the season hot. It's going to be like that all year long. I'm so excited, man. This was a great show today. We could go on for like 2 hours. We could go on for 3 hours. But if you guys do have any more questions, drop them in the comments. We're still going to be here these next couple of days. Even if you weren't able to make it live, we will get to those questions.
Yeah.
So just drop them below. And yeah, hopefully we keep cashing those tickets, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to all you guys for tuning in week 1, right? You guys are here, ready to go, got the questions rolling. We appreciate all you guys obviously popping in and joining us right from the start, whether it was our best ball show, our show on Wednesday, and obviously here today on our Friday show. This is how we do it every single week. Year 4 already at Pass the Prop is crazy.
Wow.
We've been doing it for that long. So it's been consistent all the way through NBA, MLB. We've been all the way through here. And it's nice to see, a lot of similar faces pop in and join us even now, even as we kind of all of our accounts have grown exponentially since then. And it's just kind of crazy to see it all just kind of keep going. So we'd like to thank all you guys, obviously make it possible for us to continue to do this and enjoy it with you guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. I know it's already, for an hour. Crazy. It doesn't even feel like that. But we got our long shot, got our 6 plays. Again, shout out to Jordan. Make sure you go follow him over on Twitter, X, whatever it is now. I don't even know anymore. But the description, it's in the description of the video. So make sure you check it out. We'll see you guys on Monday for Monday Night Football bets and obviously recapping today. So have a good one, guys, and best of luck on week 1.
Let's do it.